in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. This is boxing presented by Bob Arum's Top Rank, sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Executive Director Mr. Bob Bennett. Our ringside physicians, Jay Coates, Brad Lee, and David Obert. Our timekeepers, Jim Cavan and Steve Esposito. This bout is scheduled for 6 rounds in the featherweight division. Our judges at ringside, Max DeLuca, Dave Moretti, and Glenn Trowbridge. And the man in charge at the sound of the bell, Mr. Robert Hoyle. Fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 125.4 pounds, wearing black trunks with maroon trim. He brings a record of 5 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. 2 wins coming by way of knockout. From Denver, Colorado, Adon Gonzalez. Fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 125.1 pounds, wearing blue trunks with gold and black trim. He brings a record of 3 wins, 1 loss, 3 wins coming by way of knockout. He is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist from Cienfuegos, Cuba, Robeisy El Tren Ramirez.
Okay, gentlemen, this is a rematch, okay? I expect a good, clean fight. Most importantly, I want you to watch the rabbit punches. That can cost you the fight. As you can see right here, any punches here on the belt will be legal. Any punches here, bueno, okay? I want you to touch them up and give me a good, clean fight.
Don't underestimate that look in each other's eyes right there. Remember, you can join in and have your voice heard at espn.hearmecheer.com to participate live and hear your voice here, cheer along. That look in the eyes, you know, Adon Gonzalez told ESPN.com Steve Camp that when he looked into Robeisy Ramirez's eyes the first time, he could tell that he wasn't ready for his power. He could tell that he was being underestimated. Dre, he isn't tonight. Robeisy's been waiting on this one, the rematch.
Well, make no mistake about it, Robeisy Ramirez is not just after redemption tonight, he's after validation. He's already proven that he was a great amateur. He's here to prove that he's now a great pro.
Tim, the quick turnaround. It was only 23 days ago that Robeisy was in there and had the first round TKO of Yuri Andujar. Scored 2 knockdowns in that first round. Had the uppercut and then scored the other knockdown with the left hand. So the quick turnaround, and here he is for the rematch.
Yeah, ever since that first loss that he took to Gonzalez, Ramirez has been on a tear. You know, he's came off of 3 consecutive knockout wins. And let me tell you, fellas, he's looking for one tonight. He's being patient, being calm, and he's looking for the perfect shot to line up Gonzalez.
There's a left hand that scored from Ramirez.
Muy bien, nene, muy bien. La mano está muy buena. Mira, ya tiene el ojo hinchado, el ojo izquierdo, se la metiste.
The motivation that Adon Gonzalez brings to this ring tonight is obviously he wants to prove that the first fight was not a fluke, but he just simply believes that Robeisy Ramirez is not better than him.
El piecito tuyo, entra, después que lo haga fallar entra.
You know, Dre, you got a good point. That's the first sign of success right there. When you don't believe the hype, when you come in there with a game plan and you hungry and you determined, and then you execute that game plan. That's what Gonzalez did in that first fight. He didn't believe the hype. He didn't care about the hype. A lot of times these guys, they get fear in them because of the hype of the fighter.
Ramirez coming in behind that southpaw jab and then throws the left hand and then meets him with a left hand that Gonzalez tries to shake off as he came forward.
Ramirez is looking very sharp tonight, offensively, defensively, and Adon Gonzalez is the one that's looking like he has no answers, at least for the moment.
Remember, it was Gonzalez who scored that knockdown in the first round of their first fight. And now this is a more focused and sharper version of Robeisy Ramirez that he sees opposite here tonight. End of 1 from Vegas. We asked Robeisy Ramirez how he views this rematch. Here's what he said.
Lo que pasó esa noche fue más error mío que
3 straight knockout wins since that stunning, shocking upset in his pro debut. In that first round, Ramirez enjoyed a 10-6 connect advantage, according to CompuBox.
You know, a lot of times people believe that just because you're a great amateur, you will make a great pro. But you must refine those skills once you get into the pros. And you know, the pro game is just a different etiquette. You know what I mean? You gotta fight like a pro. You gotta sit down on your punches. You gotta hurt these men. It's not about, you know, point fighting. You know, Ramirez had to go back to the drawing board after the loss to Gonzalez, so that way he can behave like a pro.
And that included a trainer change with Ishmael Salas Bernardo. What are they saying to each other?
Ismael told me, look, the biggest correction I made for this fight in the rematch was the positioning in the ring. I've got him moving to his opponent's right hand because when he swings wildly with that right hand, he lunges, and we've got to take advantage of that.
Something we will look for. This time he corners him.
Ishmael Salas, yeah, it's not going to be an easy task to help Ramirez shed his, you know, his amateur skin. He's had over 400 amateur fights, 2 gold medals. It can be done, but it takes time, and he's slowly growing into his professional palms right now.
Gonzalez comes forward with a body punch.
One of the punches that I see that Ramirez doesn't use often, and it would definitely improve his game, is the jab, the lead jab. You know, he's doing a lot of hooks and straight left hands, but no jabs.
Ya le cogiste el tiempo. Sácalo con el reto izquierda.
Slip there.
That was a mean shoulder bump right there from Ramirez.
Okay, you ready? Yep, clear head. Okay.
Step.
Watch the wrestle.
Boom. Wow.
Just laid that right shoulder
Ladies
right
and
into
gentlemen,
his chest.
Tess, I don't care. That means it's personal. That's what that means. I don't care what Ramirez told us. He said that it's not personal. He just needs to behave like a professional. No, that was a personal move right there from him.
And he backs him up with a double jab in the left hand and then meets him with the left hand to the body when Gonzalez came forward. A couple times he's done that now. So the rematch, Ramirez, physical through 2 rounds against Adon Gonzalez. More from Vegas after this short break. 2 rounds in the books. Dre, Robeisy Ramirez stands between rounds, doesn't take a seat on the stool.
Time in.
Yes, that's something I've seen many, many times from Cuban fighters. And I saw it in the 2004 Olympics, and I asked him about it in the fighter meeting yesterday, and he agreed. He said, this is psychological warfare, and if my opponent is sitting down and I'm standing up, that's a win for me. I'm sending him a message. A lot of micro battles in the midst of the big battle that people are unaware of, but the good fighters and the great fighters, they understand that.
Yeah, he's standing up now. He's going 6 rounds, but when he gets to 10 and 12, I know he's going to be taking the seat, Greg.
Y la de Miami que está presto.
See, the problem for Gonzalez when he's facing a fighter with as many skills and as much experience as Ramirez is, Ramirez can do multiple different things. He can box, he can slug, he can counter. Gonzalez is a guy who is tough, he gets in shape, and he brings his one game, which is just pressure and fight hard, and he's been unable to do that tonight. He can't even put pressure on Ramirez because Ramirez is controlling the center of the ring.
No doubt about it that he's tough in his game, and that was forged during his teenage years. This is a young man, Adon Gonzalez from Denver, who was facing a lot of issues. 15 years old, was living on the street. His trainer took him in at the TLC gym, and he slept on an air mattress in the middle of the ring. Would wake up at 5:30, would get in work, run, still wakes up early, gets a full day of work in, and then goes and trains. He cares for his family, but he's not bashful when it comes to being tough and putting in hard work and overcoming some adversity in life. Comes forward that time with a two-punch combination.
Tess, that's the kind of stuff that movies are made of.
Sure is. Well, and as Mark
Yes, it
Kriegel mentioned earlier tonight, he truly had his Rocky moment in Philadelphia, of being the ultimate underdog who was just supposed to show up and follow the script, and the next thing you know, he pulls off the upset in Ramirez's pro debut. Tonight, he's a plus 600 underdog, having won the first fight. There's a left hand in the midst of that exchange from Robeisy Ramirez. And now with him pinned up against the ropes, they trade.
Now you see Robeisy walking down Gonzalez. He wants to take him out. He wants to get in the inside and break this young man down to the body and land a kill shot up top.
Le va a dar al árbitro.
3 rounds, Robeisy Ramirez a 33-26 connect advantage over Adon Gonzalez.
La bolsita llena.
This was a fantastic adjustment by Ramirez inside the pocket. There he is. He makes Gonzalez miss, and then boom, meets him up top with a nice left hand. As you see, Gonzalez actually squared up, throwing a left hook, leaving himself exposed, and Ramirez made him pay.
One of his 10 power punches landed in that 3rd round.
Mira eso, se va a caer ese hombre.
The most impressive thing for me from the exchange we just saw and other exchanges in that last round was not the punches landed from Ramirez, but where his head placement was. He kept his head down. He punched to the body, he punched to the head, but he never raised his chin up in the air. Those were those professional bones that I was talking about earlier.
Esa, bien durona. Le dolió. Métele chin abajo ahora, que esa duele.
That's it, cabeza.
If you're Don Gonzalez, he's on the record. He's being quoted as saying that he has 19-year-olds in his boxing gym that hit harder than Ramirez. But when this fight starts and you're facing a guy like Robeisy, you got to back that up, because this is a fighter who came up in a system where their duty was to win. It wasn't about medals, it was about gold medals. So when you say something like that to a guy like this, you got to back it up.
Robeisy with his tongue sticking straight out as he comes in against Gonzalez. Gonzalez comes in, targeting that body.
Yeah, Gonzalez is being smart right now. What he's doing is he's using his legs to get out, and then occasionally he'll jump in with a combination and catch Ramirez off guard. I know he's hitting gloves and arms and stuff like that, but you know, the judges, they sit there and they look at these things.
Right hand to the body from the southpaw Cuban. And a lead left that tries to split the guard.
Eso, métale fuerte y largo. Date a respetar, coño. No te me ponga duro, nene. No te mirando
I think
a
what's
nadie.
odd to
Sácalo ya.
me about Gonzalez is that Ramirez is right where he wants him to be, right directly in front of him. But Gonzalez is not letting his hands go. He's afraid to let his hands go because he's afraid to get countered. So he's feeling the power, trust me.
Something that Adon
Tim, I think it
Gonzalez
looks
mentioned,
like-
Dre, in that first fight, about he wasn't ready for my power and he felt my
Tienes
power.
que meter dos acciones, nene.
But I think it looks like Ramirez is doing the same thing as the first time. He looks like he's right there. He's making subtle adjustments that are making things hard for Gonzalez.
Here's another challenge.
Dad, what are
There are some people that were sizing up this rematch that thought we wouldn't see the start of the 5th round. Don't tell that to Adon Gonzalez, the 23-year-old who's trying to find another way to upset Robeisy Ramirez, Dre.
This is what 400 fights and two gold medals will get you. Look at that skill, the feint. He got Gonzalez out of position, and he just hit him with a jab, and you may say that's not a big deal, but as the fight progresses, you'll start to see the left hand come and the right hook come. That's just to get him in position and to get Gonzalez exactly where he wants him. Great movement from Ramirez.
Watch the heads, watch the heads.
Métele espalda de bomba abajo. Ese fula, vamos, vamos. Trabaja.
Using one of the lost arts in boxing, which is feinting, which you just see him do right there. A feint is there to freeze the opponent and to, it's almost like a misdirection play in football. You look like you're doing one thing, but you're really doing something else, and then boom, you count it. Very discouraging for an opponent.
Pégale duro, pégale duro.
Let's check in with Bernardo and hear what's going on in the corner of Adon Gonzalez.
Watch the heads, watch the heads. Stop!
Donald Camarena told me, look, I do think Robezy's ahead just slightly here, but it's a close fight. But what we need to do is stop just loading up. When he throws combinations and moves side to side, he has success. But when he loads up, that's when he lets Robezy Ramirez do his thing.
Special relationship between his trainer, Donald Camarena, and Adon Gonzalez. Timmy, you fought Donald way back when, didn't you?
Yeah, I did fight his trainer. So it was good to see him in the trainer of Gonzalez test. He was a really good southpaw himself.
Dre, that's when you know you're getting old, is when you fought guys' trainers. That's the Dre. When you hit that point, I want you to let me know.
Oh my goodness, you can't deny that, Timmy. You're getting up there, brother.
No, I know. It's all right. It's just life, baby. Man, a jab would serve Ramirez so much more if he used it. It'll blind. That's what the jab does. It blinds and hides the offense.
Getting after a little bit in that red corner. Ramirez stepped to him.
You see some of the punishment soaking in on the face of Adon Gonzalez right now.
Yeah, you see the swelling around that right eye, Dre. That left hand has found a home.
No jabs. No jabs on Ramirez. He can do a lot more. He can get Gonzalez to open up with the offense if he shot his jab out there.
Ya que se está acabando. Cierra fuerte, date a respetar. Esa, cierra fuerte,
Good work to finish out the 5th round. And with the end of round number 5, let's check in with Mark Kriegel.
No vamos para el último asalto, la amenaza.
I agree with Timmy about the jab, but I also think Robezy has made this transition. We're not seeing a guy who's been an amateur anymore. We're seeing a guy who's made the transition to the pros. You can see he's got a little funkier step. His tongue is out, but the shoulder bump, the little clip after the bell, those are professional tricks. They don't do that in the amateurs. You're looking at a guy who is now an apprentice pro, no longer just an amateur prodigy in Robezy Ramirez.
Ya la pelea tú la ganaste. ¿Se entiende? Pero yo quiero que tú luches.
Make it happen. 3 minutes, baby. 3 minutes. All right, come on, baby.
Last round. Come on, we gotta go. We gotta go. Touch him up, touch him up, touch him up.
We'll touch him up for the 6th and final round. Back in August of 2019, it was a 4-round split decision that went Gonzalez's way. Things look a little different now. 6 rounds here. Ramirez has outlanded him 54 to 43. He's landed 46 of 100 power punches thrown. No clash of heads that time.
No touch, no touch. Watch it. Both of you guys.
You're gonna have to get in there and fight, bro.
See that movement right there? Go ahead, Jerry. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it was the absolute worst circumstances you can have for a young fighter who has 2 gold medals. His first fight, losing a decision, getting knocked down, and the only way that Ramirez can deal with that thorn in his side, that loss, is to face the opponent who beat him and to prove that the first fight was a fluke.
Look, this is a new Ramirez to me. I mean, he's been reprogrammed, and I have to say that's because of the great relationship that he has with his trainer, Ismael Salas, and the communication and the guidance that he has put. He's refined this young man, Ramirez. He looks a lot better, a lot more under control, and really winning this fight pretty easy, in my opinion.
Si tienen que cerrar con broche de oro la amenaza, yo sé que tú puedes. Métele bien duro.
You got to give the coach a lot of credit.
Vamos, vamos, con la mano adelante.
But Ramirez also said that I wasn't disciplined. I didn't train properly the first fight. We know we hear fighters say that all the time, but you got to think about where he came from. Cuba, being on the national team, he was told to do everything. He had to work out. He had to run when they told him to run. Now he's in America, and he does it when he wants to do it. And he can give the type of effort that he wants to give or not give. So that's also an adjustment for a guy like Robeisy Ramirez.
Se quiere quitar.
Freedom.
Si le da fuerte, él se quita.
Hey, with freedom, there still comes responsibility, Dre. And he didn't handle his business the first time. He's handling his business well tonight.
Yes, he is.
Robeisy ya se está acabando, nene.
Stop! Stop! Keep him up. Keep him up.
Métase la
Good.
hora arriba.
Let's go.
Vamos, vamos. El tren. El tren.
He waited to the end to land that.
Brought it there. Full 6 rounds out of Ramirez against Gonzalez. Dre, what did you like overall about?
Ladies and gentlemen, here inside MGM Grand, after 6 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. All 3 judges score the bout 60 to 54. For your winner by unanimous decision, Robeisy El Tren Ramirez.
Robeisy Ramirez avenges the shocking upset in his pro debut. He landed 54 power punches over 6 rounds for the win against Adon Gonzalez. We are right back to live fights when we return. Don't go anywhere. Live with your voice heard throughout the night. Go to ESPN.HearMeCheer.com to do that. Dre, about a month ago, you said that'll be interesting to see if any fighters are willing to fight early in this summer series and then come back and fight again. Kingsley eBay, the phone rang. 1 week, he comes back. 1 week, Dre.
That's right. The first fight a week ago was so good to him, Tess, that he had to come back a week later and get some more. He's got a good opponent in front of him tonight, probably tougher than his last opponent. This guy is 6'6", so I want to see how Kingsley eBay deals with the height and the size of this man tonight.
Side to side. 1, 2, double 3. Come on, Mike Tyson, baby. There you go. Come on, Mike Tyson, baby. Let's go. Work out, fellas. Work out.
You're going to see a lot of switching from both these guys, both these men, these heavyweights tonight. They switch from southpaw stance to right-handed. You see right there, you see eBay in the southpaw position and having some success in the inside.
Let him feel it again. Hook him. There you go. Look out. Don't push.
Patrick Mailata is announced from New Zealand. He's a native of Samoa. His family moved to New Zealand when he was 8 years old, and most recently he moved to Vegas. And Timmy, he has gotten in good sparring in his career. He's been in with Joe Joyce, Kubrat Pulev, Big Baby Jared Anderson, the other big baby. Joseph Parker, as you can imagine, who he also faces as an amateur. He's been in with Guido Vianello, who we saw a few weeks ago, and with AJ, with Anthony Joshua.
You know, he got some good work with sparring. He got to test his ability. Leitai got to test his ability against the top guys in the world. You know, and he told us that, you know, he held his own against those guys. So hopefully what he learned, what he took from those fights, he can apply it tonight to help him get this win against eBay.
Send him up with your jab. There you go. Walter, baby, Walter. Go after him. Don't sit back, kid, please. Go after him, son. Work that jab, son. Jab to the head, jab to the belly, son. Come back with your left hand. 10 seconds, Neil. 10 seconds. Come on. Come on, Kingsley.
Coming to the end of round number 1, our big heavyweights. 2 284-pounders in there for 6 rounds. The right hand from Mailata right on the bell. So Kingsley eBay, last Thursday night, he was in against Waldo Cortez. And I think we described it as a series of punches in the 4th round that was right out of a fight movie scene. Something Dre's familiar with. The series of uppercuts to score the knockdown, and Cortez was unable to continue.
I ain't never seen anything like that before. He literally had his fist on his chin and just pumping up with that uppercut. Then finally was able to land a kill shot in the middle of the ring.
Fall,
I don't
though,
even.
Yeah,
that looks scripted. That looks choreographed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it
It
wasn't.
wasn't, but it looks that way.
And that was a rematch. And Kingsley was able to avenge the only loss of his pro
Good
career.
job, mijo. Keep it up. Pay attention to what you're doing. Don't lay nothing down on him.
Sorry for laughing, fellas.
No, listen, man. You just being real, man. That was something unreal. I've never seen anything like that in all my years of boxing, Dre.
What also may be right out of a movie is his life story.
Watch your foot.
Because this is a guy who's been well-traveled. He came to America when he was 16 years old from Africa, wanted to go to school to be an engineer, stumbled into the Madison Boxing Gym, lives down there in Arizona, where he sells insurance. He's an insurance salesman. He tried to sell a policy to his trainer. He ends up being a pro boxer. And in fact, yesterday we visited with him. You know, yesterday he's got the weigh-in. He's there in Vegas getting ready to fight primetime TV. And Timmy, he sold 2 policies yesterday morning before he went to the weigh-in.
This man's a jack of every trade, let me tell you. You know, you can find time, I guess, inside the bubble to sell insurance. Very interesting test. But he's in a good fight. He's holding his own right now against Malate.
Dre, let's look out for at the end of 6 if he pulls a business card out of his trunks and hands it to referee Kenny Bayless and says, give me a call sometime. Talk about a premium.
Well, that's what's ironic about eBay is, I guess you could say his primary job is to sell insurance, and his side job, the sport of boxing, is to inflict punishment and pain on another man.
Which he just did with that uppercut and then that sweeping right hand. Loves that left uppercut, doesn't he?
Listen, he might not have the techniques, fellas, but he's hitting hard. You hear the sounds of those punches. And you see Malate is having a little trouble trying to figure him out.
Take care of your game, It's your game.
Well, eBay is explosive, too, for a big man. It's always frightening to see a big man, 6'4", 6'5", 6'3", who can just get off 3 or 4 shots in a blinking of an eye. And that's what eBay does. He has a lot of ferocity behind his shots, so when they land clean, they do damage.
Neutral corner. Neutral.
There's a 25-15 connect advantage over Mailata. Mouthpiece came out.
Time.
3-0 since that first fight with Cortez.
Neutral.
You know, he never fought in Vegas prior to last Thursday, and now he has 2 pro fights in 1 week in Vegas.
I had 2 Vegas fights in the totality of my career. He's on pace to beat me.
Turn up your jabs. Turn up your jabs. Turn up that jab, Keep working your jab, son. Keep working that jab, son. There you go. Do it again. Uppercut. Uppercut. Watch your head.
Mailata's got to be careful when eBay switches like that because he'll go into the clinch, and I'm talking about eBay as a righty, but he'll come out as a left-hander. Mailata better watch out for that.
There you go, son. Good try. 10 seconds, 10 seconds. Go, get him. Score point, son.
Heavyweights through 2. Stick around. More to come. Right back.
I'm gonna.
3 of our heavyweight action. Let's visit with Mark.
Milata has been in, as you noted before, Joe, with some of the best in the world. Joe Joyce, Anthony Joshua, Pulev, Joseph Parker. eBay walked into a gym for the first time last August to sell his coach insurance. He shouldn't be in this fight, but I got him winning. And he's on a week. He took another fight last week. He's coming off on short notice.
I agree with you. Absolutely. Through 2 rounds, he had 25 power connects landed to Melata's 12. Melata, by the way, was a rugby player, and then he had a devastating knee injury that interrupted his rugby career, and that's when he discovered boxing. And he said, I'm done with rugby. It's all about the fight game for me.
Uppercut. Look for your cherry left. Drop, give me some cherry left.
I'm going to tell you what Milata's doing. Milata's wearing down eBay. He's allowing him to punch. You see he has the high guard, and he's walking him down, and he's making him work, making him uncomfortable. And he's looking for body shots. Right afterwards, you see him go down to the body with hard shots. He's trying to drain eBay. If I'm in Milata's corner right now, I'm telling him to step on the gas. That he got him. Step on the gas. You got him right where you need him. Now take advantage of him.
Work that body. Work it back.
Pinning him into that corner, was able to land a body shot, and now eBay creates some separation before retreating again.
Hit him again, son. Stop. Step back.
Well, eBay created the separation with 2 big shots, and that's the problem. And that's what Milata has to account for if he's going to press a fighter like eBay.
Right uppercut on the inside. eBay comes back with 2 punches.
Yeah.
Wide
And Milata
sweeping
staying
left
right
hand.
at mid-range. You need to either be all the way in or all the way out. And once you get to where you need to go, you need to work. Because if you don't work, guess what? eBay, he's going to work. And that's what he's doing right now.
eBay looks a little winded right now. His wind should be fine because he just fought a week ago. He had a training camp before that fight, and he's still in good shape. So I'm a little surprised to see him winded right now the way that he is.
Again.
Dre, I don't think he was running, Dre. I think he was selling insurance. That's why.
Might be right.
There's a body punch from Milata as we come to the end of 3 with our heavyweights.
Get out of there. Work your jab. Time.
Casper.
Samoan native Patrick Milata had his fight-high 12 power punches in that last round. Round number 4 with our heavyweights. Good exchange to open up the round.
Okay, yeah.
Whenever I see heavyweights fight and have exchanges, it just feels like the ending could be imminent. It just feels like something could happen at any given time. These are some big men throwing some heavy leather.
Bernardo, what are they saying in the corner of Milata?
Watch the foot.
Devin Kaysen said, look, he's only coming in with 1 shot. I need all these rounds, and I want him to go all the way inside. He can't get caught in between ranges because he can get caught with a big shot, but I want him to turn it up now.
Timmy, that echoes a lot of what you were bringing up towards the end of the last round.
Watch your head.
Yeah, when you sit at mid-range, that's the most dangerous range in boxing. That's when your opponent can hit you and you can hit your opponent. A lot of guys don't understand that range. We call that no man's land. You either need to be all the way in, inside the pocket, or all the way out. None in between unless you're shooting some punches.
Jab your head, overhand. Jab back to the belly, come back with an overhand, you know. Uppercut right there.
The corner of Milata told him right. He needs to step on the gas and put more pressure on eBay. eBay is tired. He's still throwing punches and he's dangerous, so you have to be aware of that. But if Milata's going to have any shot of landing a big shot or having a chance on the scorecards, now's the time.
The problem is Malata is a counterpuncher. You know, that's his nature. He's a counterpuncher. He likes to sit on the outside. He likes to break guys down. So it's like 1 or 2 punches at a time. But what he needs to do is put combinations together on eBay. They don't have to be hard shots.
Taking a page out of eBay's book right now, turning southpaw.
Jab, son. Look for your cherry picker, son. Come on, son.
Your head.
Bob and weave. Bob and weave. Hook.
Not effective.
Hook. Left hook.
I think Malata's just trying to buy
Watch
some
you, Jerry,
time
left.
and rest a little bit. Some
Watch
guys
you,
do
Jerry,
that.
left,
When they
yo.
want to rest, they'll turn southpaw. Some guys are effective, but most aren't.
He punched walking forward.
See some blood
So you
coming
can see
from
the
nose of
inexperience of
eBay. That
Malata.
happened in the 3rd round when his nose was bloodied.
10 seconds, son. 10 seconds. Beat
The
it up.
experience
Beat
of
it up.
Malata, he's
Come
not
on,
going
son.
down to the body
Work,
on
son.
eBay
Work, son.
and
Again.
draining him
Again.
even more.
Again, son. Hook. Thank you.
Let me ask you something. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise?
Kingsley eBay is fighting past the 4th round. Bernardo, he seems exhausted after that last round.
Yes, to the point, Joe, that as soon as he got to the red corner, the commissioner asked him to stand up to fix his trunks, and he couldn't even muster the energy to stand up. He waited until the 10-second clap to get up, and finally he did stand up. But yes, he's exhausted after never seeing this distance as a pro.
Now you can see the guard there and the little gap between the guard and the back of his trunks. I will say this, Dre and Tim, when it comes to the commission coming over after you just fought a round and asking you to stand up so that they can fix your trunks. Anything that deals with equipment, whether it's tape on the gloves, whether it's the belt line, whether it's the trunks, just like anything else, that should not have to come at your expense when you just got done fighting a round and then you go sit on the stool to get your break instructions. When they start the next round, if they want to take an official timeout and deal with the trunks, that's when that should be administrated.
Yeah, I wouldn't have appreciated that. In fact, I would not have moved.
Exactly.
And I know my coach and godfather, Virgil, would have said, listen, we'll get it at the start of the next round.
That's your time, those 60 seconds, right, Dre? Not their time.
I need all of it.
That's right.
Work, son. Work.
I know eBay is tired, but Malate's not doing anything. eBay is doing all the swinging. Whether he's hitting or not, he's doing all the, he's looking like he's winning this round right now.
Come back on the top of the right hand.
Well, that's the interesting thing about eBay is he hasn't stopped throwing. You can tell he's physically exhausted, but I'm wondering how tired Malata is because he's not doing much else, like you said, Tim. But it's also interesting that eBay's power hasn't dropped off. You still hear him land a heavy shot here and there.
Punch, son. You got 4 more left. You got this one. You got 3 more. 3 minutes next round. Score. Score, son. Cherry picker left. Look at him.
You can see the trunks falling off of eBay.
Jab, son. Hard, hard. Work it with the
That
jab.
guard is riding high, and the trunks are going in the other direction.
I hope they stay right there, Tess.
I hope so, too. So does most of America, Dre.
Please.
Come on, Kizzy. Not tonight, not Kizzy.
That was the
Come on,
point.
Kizzy. Not tonight, baby. Come on, jab up the jab.
eBay's coach is doing a wonderful job of coaching his fighter through. He knows he's tired. He's giving him instructions like, look alive. Sometimes as a fighter, you need that reminder. He's encouraging him when he does something well. Great job by the coach of Kingsley eBay.
Right down on that mouthpiece. Punch.
eBay willing here as he hears the clap.
Punch. Punch, son. Punch,
Now
Kizzy.
Malata trying to dig underneath as we come to the end of 5. White swinging from the heavyweights on the air, a 22-win 35-year-old against Jose Pedraza at 144 pounds. An intriguing main event and a critical fight for both men with their career path as it stands right now, deep into their careers.
You made it, Kingsley.
That's coming up.
You made it.
We also have 16-0 junior lightweight prospect Albert Bell coming up, as well as Freddie Roach's prospect at 140 pounds, Elvis Rodriguez. He will be fighting next. So we have undefeated prospects and then the former 2-division world champion in the main event.
Come on, shoe shine. There you go.
6th and final rounds here. And you see the complaint of eBay on that.
Bring him up, okay? Low, low.
Low blow.
That's all right.
I don't know if it's that low, but Kenny Bayless is going to give him the time.
He's a smart man. He's going to take his time.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Took your time.
Watch the left hand right on
the
belt
belt
line. I mean, it was actually kind of above the H in eBay there on that belt line. And Kenny Bayless is going to try to deal with the wardrobe malfunction.
Easy, bite down on that mouthpiece, son. Let's go to work.
Ready?
You all right? You
Remember,
sure?
he fought 7
Time in.
days ago. He had a 4th-round
All right, keep
TKO
going,
win
baby.
7
Hurry.
days ago.
That's thrill.
And then the 284-pounder
Come on, Kingsley,
wheels
give me them
back
uppercuts.
and returns tonight
Come on, Kingsley.
against Melata.
Fight, son. Fight, son.
Probably a missed opportunity by the corner there. If you know
Okay,
your
gun. He
fighter,
said no. Come on.
eBay
Show me the
is
hit order.
exhausted the way that he is. You tell
There you
him,
go.
take
Do
your
it again.
time. Don't
Again,
rush it.
son.
From that southpaw
Again.
stance,
Do it
looking
again.
for that
Go through
power
the jab.
punch
Go through that
as he
left
threw
hand.
2 left
Again,
hands
son.
there and now switches orthodox.
Hook him, son. Left hook. Right hook. Set him up with the jab. Here you go. Bring your hand back up. Here you go.
This is a very
Jab,
close
son.
fight.
Come on, Kingsley.
And
Last
both
3
fighters
minutes.
finishing
Last 3
strong
minutes,
is
son.
imperative if they're going to try to get their hand raised.
Come on, son. Jab. Jab again.
No, one thing that I've seen a
There you go.
lot from
Jab, jab,
Melata
uppercut him.
is
Uppercut him. Jab again, son. Jab again.
he keeps switching directly in front of
Jab,
eBay.
son.
And when you have a fighter
Jab, double jab.
that switches as
Come on, do it again.
rapidly and as often right directly in front of you,
Hook
those
him.
are
There you go. Do it
opportunities
again.
for you to catch him right in
Go
between that
forward,
switch.
son.
He
Go
is
forward.
completely off balance and not set
Go
the
forward
punch.
with the jab. Give me that Walter, man. Come on, man.
I agree. You
Come
have to
on.
attack. You can't play
Hook
the
him. There
game.
you go. Do it again. Give it all you got, Kingsley. 1 minute left. There you go. Feed it back. Feed it back. Feed it back, son. Feed it back. Feed back, Kingsley.
Don't hold him. Don't hold him.
Punch,
If I'm in
Kingsley.
Melata's
Punch,
corner.
son. Punch. Punch.
If I'm in his
Uppercut,
corner,
son.
I'm going to review this
Uppercut,
fight
son.
and I'm going to go
Uppercut.
back to the drawing
Uppercut
board
him.
and work
Uppercut,
on the
go, go, go.
inside
Go get
fighting.
him.
You know,
Go get
he's
him.
sweet
Go
on
get
the
him, son.
outside,
Uppercut him. Go, go, go,
but
go,
at
go.
mid-range,
Go,
he's
son,
terrible.
Go. Punch
He
back.
don't know how to handle himself at that
Uppercut,
range,
son.
Step back.
in close.
Time.
They're going to replace the mouthpiece. That was the longest sustained activity from both men we have seen. But watch the mouthpiece here come out.
Come on, let's go.
That left hand landed and then he released it. But the good news is kept fighting
Wake
through
up,
it,
son. Give
both
me another
guys,
minute. One more
as Kenny Bayless was looking for that lull in the action. We didn't have a
Give me
lull
all
in
you
the
got, son.
action
Let's
because
go.
the heavyweights went at it. All right, last half minute here with our heavyweights.
Okay.
Who can get to this finish
Come on,
line?
Kingsley. Give
How
it all
will
you
it go?
got. There you go. Again. Again. Again.
Got a funny
Okay.
feeling that Kingsley eBay
Again.
is going to take a little bit more
Uppercut,
time off
uppercut. Punch that.
after
10
this
seconds.
fight in between
10
his next
seconds.
fight.
Punch, Kingsley.
I would
Just
think
a
so.
Windmill swinging right now.
Here they go. They're going to take it right to the bell.
Again.
Let's see what the big boys have left in them.
Again.
What do you think? Michael.
2 fights in 7 days for Kingsley eBay.
You know, early on, eBay had some success throwing combinations, hard punches, and then midway point you see Melate landing some body shots, pressuring eBay, putting him in the corner. You know, I have to tell you guys this, man. You know, these are big heavyweights. eBay doesn't have a whole lot of experience. Melate, I expected a little bit more from him because he sparred the likes of, you know, Anthony Joshua. I expected just a little bit more from him, you know, especially in the inside game, and especially, you know, on the outside controlling range as well. When he got mid-range, that's when he got hit, and he got hit often. A lot of work needs to be done.
But Timmy, you know this. Just because a fighter has sparred a lot of different guys doesn't mean that he's coming out on the right end of those sparring sessions. He could be a sparring partner. He could be taking a lot of punishment. That's not, you know, that's not the reason why you should believe a guy's going to win a fight or that he's you know, got enough skill to compete.
That is the native Samoan, the former rugby player, turned to boxing and was in against Anthony Joshua and Joe Joyce, Jared Anderson, and all those in sparring. Patrick Melata. And there is Kingsley eBay, who got involved in boxing when he tried to sell a life insurance policy at a boxing gym to his now trainer. And here he is at 26 years old, having just scored a TKO win last Thursday night.
Listen, Tess, I admire the heart. I admire the heart of eBay. Honestly, he was exhausted. He was still fighting back, and I think he has a possibility of winning this fight as well. This was a close match all the way through.
Mark Chinook with the judges' cards.
Ladies and gentlemen, here inside MGM Grand, after 6 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. Patricia Morse-Jarman scores the bout 57-57. Tim Cheatham and Ricardo Ocasio score the bout 58-56. For your winner by majority decision, Kingsley, the Black Lion, eBay!
There it
TKO
is.
win a week ago, majority decision win tonight. Kingsley, eBay. Remember, we have undefeated prospects in back-to-back bouts before our main event. That happens when we return.
Do you have a...
Ladies and gentlemen, we return to the action here at MGM Grand Conference Center. This is boxing presented by Bob Arum's Top Rank. This bout is scheduled for 6 rounds in the junior welterweight division. Our judges at ringside, Max DeLuca, Dave Moretti, and Glenn Trowbridge. And the man in charge at the sound of the bell, Mr. Robert Hoyle. Fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 140.2 pounds, wearing black trunks with red and green trim. He brings a record of 6 wins, no losses, 1 draw. All 6 wins coming by way of knockout. From Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, Elvis, the Dominican Kid, Rodriguez. Fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 139.2 pounds, wearing blue trunks with white trim. He brings a record of 5 wins, 3 losses. From Lenoka Harbor, New Jersey, Danny Boy Murray.
Okay, gentlemen, we went over the instructions in the dressing room. No rabbit punches. Don't do it, okay? Right here is good. Right here is good. Obey my commands. Give me a good, clean fight. Touch him up.
All right, so Danny Murray gets this spot against Elvis Rodriguez. Danny Murray is a cook at a nursing home back in New Jersey. Elvis Rodriguez, who told us about his background growing up in the Dominican Republic, where he says he came from a amateur boxing school, a Cuban amateur boxing school. And he feels like he can fight at short range, that he's comfortable at mid-range, that he really has a lot of different layers to his game.
You know, typically you will see a right-hander go to his left, especially against the southpaw, but you see where Murray's going. He's going to his right. And some would say, why is he going to his right?
Well, there's a good example,
Well,
Timmy, right there into the path of a left hand.
Yes, Tess, but he's looking to battle the left hand. That's the point I'm making. That's what he wants. He wants him to throw the left hand so that way he can step to the side and land his right hand.
So a risk-reward tactic for Danny Murray.
You see right there, Tess? He was off the mark with the right hand, but he's looking for it.
Rodriguez is a good young prospect who is very mindful of the perception of Dominican fighters. He said, people say that we don't have chins and we don't have discipline, and I want to do my part to change that perception. And Danny Murray is 5 wins, 3 losses, no KO. So on paper, he's not supposed to give Rodriguez any trouble, but we also had Clay Collard just beat David Kaminsky, so paper only tells part of the story.
That was your shocking upset of the month.
Double up on that. Double up on your jab, Dad.
You know, when it's not a lot of action, you know, in the beginning of these fights. You know, you could set traps. This is the time you can set traps. You being a fighter. You can, you know, you can slowly drop. Oh, wow. Was that
He
a
is
shot?
through the ropes with that knockdown. It's over.
My goodness.
Okay.
It is over. Danny Murray
It's all good. It's all good.
blasted
Relax right there, Doc comes in.
and still struggling to find his way up.
Right into the Doc comes. Here he is.
And the ringside physician
feel
is
like he
quick
broke
to get to Danny Murray.
Tessie said he felt like he broke something.
Yeah, we have
Did
a
you
good
hear
group here. Ringside physician Jay Coates and Bradley and David Obert are working with the commission tonight. Stitch Duran is quick to get to that left eye. Of course, the orbital bone is so sensitive there. We've seen that injury before. Let's take a look.
Rodriguez moving in. Just a nice little swivel jab right there, right on the socket, the eye socket, and you see Murray just fall to the floor.
Good
right in the
sharp
socket,
jab.
but you see his head. Yeah, it was a strong jab, but you see the neck.
Always appreciate you.
See the neck of Murray bent out of shape. He might have broke something in his, he might have broke his orbital bone with that jab.
Good example for the young fighters at home. You don't have to throw hard to land hard. You get in the right position, land the right shot at the right time. That swivel jab is when you don't lead with the jab, but you throw it off of, in this case, a left hand or a right hand. Right here, boom, boom. Nice and sharp, accurate, right on the money, wasted no time, and you see the damage that that punch did.
Did it ever. And just enough. Taking our look. Just enough of a nudge
Just the
forward.
element of surprise.
Yes, and enough of a nudge forward with Murray with his body to create even more impact. As Murray started to open up, he nudges forward enough. You get the swivel jab that was snapping and accurate from Rodriguez, and the end result is serious damage done to Danny Murray and a knockout victory for Elvis Rodriguez. Here's Mark Chinook with the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Robert Hoyle calls a stop to the bout at 2 minutes and 13 seconds of round number 1, declaring the winner by technical knockout, Elvis, the Dominican Kid, Rodriguez.
Elvis Rodriguez, under the tutelage of Freddie Roach and Marvin Somodio, he now has 7 wins and 7 knockouts. A first-round knockout on Top Rank Boxing on ESPN.
Evan.
Ricardo Ocasio, and the man in charge at the sound of the bell, Mr. Tony Weeks. Fighting out of the blue corner, he weighed in at 132 pounds. Wearing gold and black trunks with white trim, he brings a record of 20 wins, 3 losses, 14 of those wins coming by way of knockout. From General Santos City, Philippines, Mark Machete Bernaldez. Fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 133 pounds, wearing gold trunks with red and blue trim. He brings a record of 16 wins, no defeats, 1 no contest, 5 wins by way of knockout. From Toledo, Ohio, Prince Albert Bell.
Here we go. Okay, gentlemen, you both receive your instructions in your dressing room. Right here is good. Right here is good. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
Bernaldez and Bell are scheduled for 10. There is a common opponent. It's Andy Vences. Bernaldez lost to Andy Vences. Bell defeated him. For Bernaldez, that fight was last October. Did open up a cut over Vences' left eye, but Vences outworked him, outclassed him. And Bell was able to get the win against Vences back in June of 2019. That's when Tyson Fury fought Tom Schwartz in the main event for the lineal heavyweight championship. And Bell won on all 3 scorecards, 97-93.
Mark Bernaldez has the task of trying to get inside the reach of Albert Bell tonight. Bernaldez is physical, doesn't mess around, he doesn't like to box, he likes to fight. And Albert Bell is a good young fighter, creeping closer to a world title shot if he keeps winning. But he comes from a place in the Midwest, Ohio, Toledo to be exact, where I've witnessed personally a lot of young fighters not make it out. He's here tonight, but now he's got to continue to show that he's got world-class potential.
Tim, he is long
in the early
and he
parts
is
of this fight,
wiry at 6 foot tall for a junior lightweight, so he has 6-inch height advantage, 6-inch reach advantage, 73-inch reach on that 6-foot frame, Tim.
Yeah, Tess, and that's why you want to use all of that height and all that range. And that's why you see Bell moving and trying to keep distance from Bernaldez. No, I was going to say I like the beginning parts of when I was fighting. I used to love the beginning parts of the fight because these are the times where you can set traps on your opponent.
Stop.
You might drop your left hand. I would drop my left hand just to get a right hand to come over the top of it, and then I will be waiting on my own counter. I will counter his shot. That's being smart, and that's controlling your opponent and getting him to do what you want him to do.
It's interesting to hear you discuss how you view the early stages of a fight, what you were looking for. Dre, what was your approach?
Well, I wasn't giving up any free shots. I wasn't sticking my chin out like Timmy, telling him to hit me and then trying to counter. My whole thing was control. I wanted to establish whose ring this was, at what pace the fight was going to be fought at, and at what range. Sometimes it takes a couple rounds, especially when you're fighting, top opposition, but eventually we would get there, and the rest would be history.
And that history always ended the same way. Coming to the end of round number 1 here, as Albert Bell, 16-0. The spotlight of our co-feature here from Vegas.
The Eagles
Conference Center in Vegas. Spectacular new graphics package you're using there. I like the fact on the big jumbo in the back you can see some of the constant tweets from the boxing intelligentsia. Of course, boxing Twitter is never bashful about sharing an opinion, are they?
At the end of that round, you heard the trainer of Bernaldez saying jab down to the body. That can sometimes be dangerous. I know we talk about it a lot. You have to squat down in front of your man. See, just like that right there, just as he was doing it, he got hit with an uppercut and a check left hook. You have to do it at the right distance and also at the right time.
Right now, the chin of Albert Bell is just a little high for me.
I got you.
He's a tall fighter, but that doesn't mean he has to stand tall. He can drop his knees a little bit and make himself longer and get that chin out of the air. As you see right there, Bernaldez just tried to hit it, but more experienced guys will look low. They'll shoot a shot to the body. The whole time they want to come over the top and catch you with a clean shot. He's got to work on that.
And I'll give you young fighters another tip about jabbing down to the body. When you jab down to the body of your opponent, and if he steps back, you don't shoot the power hand over the top. If you jab your opponent to the body and he stays right there, that's when you set up that big shot over the top. As you can see, Bell's not staying there. He's moving.
Stop.
Shot wasn't hard right there from Bernaldez, but it landed. And if you're a coach in the corner of Bell, you have to let him know, make him recognize that, hey, you got hit there, we shook it off, but that could be a problem up the road.
Bernaldez is doing the right thing and trying to get inside. you know, moving his head, moving his feet, trying to make things difficult for Bell, but Bell's just too smooth on his feet.
That's right. It's all right there for you. Yeah.
End of 2, and let's make sure you're up to speed on what's ahead with Top Rank Boxing. Top Rank Boxing continues from Vegas on Tuesday, July 7th with Jose Zepeda. The former world title challenger who nearly upset Jose Ramirez is targeting another shot. ESPN's number 6 ranked junior welterweight in the main event. Then 2 days later on July 9th, it's a heavyweight main event. Carlos Takam, who has fought for a world championship, is trying to secure a win against Jerry Slugger Forrest, and also appearing that night, Jared Big Baby Anderson. Many feel the young undefeated prospect could be America's next heavyweight star. Welcome back to Top Rank Boxing on ESPN. Joe Tessitore here in the Bristol, Connecticut studios. The return of boxing has been a learning process for everybody with the new COVID-19 protocols. Bernardo, the only one on site. The rest of us broadcasting remotely with Timmy, Dre, and Mark, all from their home offices. Round number 3 here of our co-feature, so you get to see what's ahead next week. And Timmy, you do get to see Jared Anderson next week. Big baby, the heavyweight. You said that's the fighter you want to see again, and he does come back next week, the heavyweight, the undefeated heavyweight from Toledo.
Yeah, Tess, like I said, I'm excited. You know, that I was raised up watching heavyweight boxing, watching Vander Holyfield, Michael Moore, you know, Riddick Bowe, all these guys. And, you know, those guys are all homegrown. They started from the crib and learning how to box. And, you know, we've had a champion in Deontay Wilder who started boxing late and is no longer a champion. But we have this kid, Jared Anderson, has been boxing from the crib with skills, and he has the size to go along with it. So there's hope for another great American heavyweight.
He's from Toledo, Timmy, and Albert Bell is from Toledo as well. I will challenge you, though, Tim, because you said we may have to do something about the Big Baby nickname. We may well offer Jared Anderson some new nicknames. You know, Lee Groves, the boxing historian, chimed in the other day. He said the problem with the Big Baby nickname is that it doesn't have an infinite shelf life. I mean, at a certain point, you grow up. You're no longer a baby in the sport. He said we go with Jared A-Train Anderson, but we can further that conversation with Jared next week.
Anything, Tess, but Big Baby, please. Anything but that. Beautiful work right there from Bell. You know, you can just see how calm and how poised Bell is. You know, he knows every avenue of the ring. He knows how to set up his shots. He's setting traps. Right there, he just set up a nice check hook on Bernardez.
Yeah, that was nice.
You know, there's no fans there, so, you know, the fans, most of the time, when you have a fighter as smooth and as calm as Bell, they start booing, boo, boo, you know, because he's not getting hit, he's not getting touched. But me, I personally enjoy seeing fighters not getting hit and fighters using the sweet science of boxing in there.
Relax and work, champ. Relax and work. There you go. Relax and work. Stay relaxed. There you go.
Coach telling him to keep doing what he's doing.
Describing it as relaxing work.
Yep.
Albert Bell Sr., Darrell Riley in the corner of the undefeated Albert Bell. Bernaldez only landing 18%. Connect advantage for the undefeated Albert Bell as we start round number 4.
This is what I'm talking about being relaxed. When you're relaxed and calm and patient, that's the gateway to clarity right here. You see Bell as he stuffs it in a nice little short body shot, makes him miss. Nice body shot right under the arm. And most guys wouldn't see that, but if you're calm, you can see small little punches like that. Great job by Bell.
Let's go to Bernardo.
Osmidi Fernandez, who's working with Mark Ronaldez, told me, look, I know he's long, but we've got to get inside. He's got to use the 1-2 to work his way in and then land that overhand right. And he's moving to his left, so we've got to cut off the ring, and we can't do it with just one shot. He's got to throw 1s and 2s.
Don't hold that hand out, man.
Even though Bernaldez is starting to pick up the pace a little bit and pick up his feet movement, Albert Bell doesn't have to play that game with him. He's taller, he's longer. He needs to stick that long jab out and control Bernaldez with the jab and let him know that no, just because you want to pick up the pace doesn't mean I'm going to pick up my pace. That's an experience thing, and he's got to continue to learn that because some guys are going to take punch after punch, round after round, just to start to wear a guy down, and he's making Bell move probably a little more than he should be right now. But great performance from Bell, but just a little bit too much movement.
See, what I like about Bell is that he's not running, he's stepping. He's stepping, you know, short steps. You know, that's a difference between, you know, picking up your feet to me and running around the ring. I understand what you're saying about, you know, he's doing a little bit too much moving. He needs to put more offense on Bernaldez.
I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying that I think Bernaldez just has him moving his feet just a little bit more than he has to right now. That's
right, right. One thing, I you know, been a smart fighter, a small fighter my whole life. You know, so I know how to deal with taller fighters, and you know, cutting off the ring is one. You got to try to corral him in the corner like he's cattle, you know, and slowly do it. You know, he's rushing right now, getting ahead of himself, and you see how Bell is just nicely escaping on those exits. Need to slow it down and forget about the head. Hit the body.
He slows it down with the left hand. That's how he slows it down. He slows down the action with the left hand, and he has more control.
Stop.
And therefore, he doesn't have to escape as much.
Yeah. There you go.
4 rounds done in our 10 rounds co-feature. A lot of news going on in the sport, as was first reported about a month ago with Mark Kriegel, now being confirmed by both sides that the circle, the date everybody's working with for Fury Wilder 3 for the heavyweight championship is December 19th. Of course, Big Baby Miller, who had the positive PED test again, responds to criticism saying, I have never, ever willingly taken a steroid for performance-enhancing purposes. We'll get to that in a moment, Tim, based on your reaction. This I love. The WBC says, here's how we want this to go. Let's go Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia. And then eventually the winner gets Devin Haney. That would be very nice at 135 pounds. But based on your reaction, Tim, I will start with the response from Big Baby Miller to the criticism that has been heaped upon him in terms of that failed PED and what he put forth as an excuse.
Right. There you go.
As an excuse, exactly. And we're talking about a person that was convicted 2 other times already, and that's his excuse. He don't understand and know what he's putting in his body. You gotta be kidding me. Like I've said, the severity of this is immense because this is the hurt business. I keep explaining this to people. This isn't baseball. This isn't anything else, you know, baseball or basketball. This is boxing. We go in the ring to hurt one another. Now you have a man on that juicy juice, that King Kong juice, coming into the ring. Yeah, juicy juice, King Kong juice, coming into the ring, swinging for 12 rounds. You know, at the heavyweight division, the most dangerous division in boxing, that's dangerous. Okay, extremely dangerous. He needs to be banned from boxing.
Round 5 here of our co-feature. Bell in control against Bernaldez. To carry on this conversation, Mark Kriegel, Big Baby Miller told the Fight Network in continuing and saying, I never willingly took a steroid. He says, hey, did I take something for healing properties for injuries? Yes, but to win a fight during training camp? No, I've never done that. Your reaction, Mark Reba.
Way to try that, Al. Way to try. Walking back a little bit. Walking back.
I don't even remember a denial that shameless in Major League Baseball back in the 90s. You know, I mean, come on, give me a break. Get him out of here. I'm with Timmy. He's jeopardizing other guys' health. And this is the third time he's tested positive. Again, I spoke to a prominent athletic commissioner the other day who said that if Nevada doesn't move to ban him, and a ban means for life, then he will, with the Association of Boxing Officials.
Final minute here of round 5. Albert Bell just keeping at it the same way against Bernaldez. And then, Dre, the other news item we put up there was the plans at 135 pounds in the WBC, and this is something I think would be so attractive for the young, wildly popular prospect, Ryan Garcia. You know, Devin Haney right now has been handed the WBC belt. And, of course, the super fight at 135 pounds would be Lomachenko Lopez. But wouldn't it be nice to see Luke Campbell and Ryan Garcia going at it?
Way to work, champ. Way to work.
Absolutely. I just hope it happens.
We will see if it does. Be a great challenge for him.
Way to work.
At the MGM Grand Conference Center. Hey, a reminder, if you go to ESPN.com, they have put up their boxing mid-year awards. I know you say, listen, we didn't have 3 months of the sport. Doesn't matter. You can always debate when it comes to boxing. That's what we do best in this sport. So they go with best fighter, best moment, the prospect, the best fight. Tim, I know you were on the panel there. And I know that Tyson Fury was very well represented. We have seen some fighters in the course of the past month that have gained some traction in terms of people giving them some buzz as to deserving awards and credit.
Mark Bernaldez is following the script, or at least his script for this fight, which is pressure, try to get on the inside of Bell and try to do some damage, but unfortunately he's facing a fighter who has faster feet, faster hands, and a broader IQ.
Way to work that. Way to work
Yeah,
that.
but I'm gonna pick on Bell tonight. He can do a lot more. He can do a lot more with his offense, and he's choosing not to. He just wants to be safe. You know, sometimes when you're in the ring, you know, you got to take some chances sometimes. If you want to produce more knockouts, you got to stand there and fight sometimes. You just can't run around the ring. You're going to get in there with somebody that's going to be able to get to you in the inside. Then what are you going to do? What's going to be your response then? He needs to go back and work on his inside game. Get comfortable inside the kitchen, inside the pocket. And that will make him a complete fighter.
I think a young fighter just has to recognize certain things, and that's where the coach comes into play, because he sees things that the fighter may not see. He has to let him know that, hey son, you boxed, you've won every round, you can stand there a little bit. You give him the vision and you give him the courage to do it. And then when you're in the gym, you drill those moments. You can't ask for something that you're not drilling in a gym. So hopefully there's something they're working on, because you're right. As the competition increases, he's going to need to change his game up. And it's something that's in reach. He has the ability, he has the stature, he has the skill. He just has to know that he can do it and work on it in the gym.
All right, watch your holding out. Watch your holding. Right.
Trabajo, trabajo.
See, there's more he can do with that jab. You know, he can come behind with his power shots. He's already got it in the face of Bernaldez. He can do a little bit more.
Right back. Yeah. Okay. Get another water ready there too.
Let me ask you something. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
You know, early on tonight we started focusing in on the defensive prowess of Albert Bell. To this point right here, as we start the 7th round, Bernaldez is only landing 17% of his total punches thrown.
And some of the things that I brought up tonight, they're nitpicky. You can't really argue with a guy that's winning every single round, but great talent has to be challenged. You have to keep a fighter with great talent reaching for more. You can never let him or allow him to get satisfied. That's the way I was taught, so that's what you hear in my commentary. You give credit where credit is due, but you always point out one or two things that they can work on, because everybody's not going to be like Mark Bernaldez. They're going to be better, and you have to keep that in mind.
And to add to that, Dre, you know, the more reactive, you hear me say reactive, you know, the more reactive you become in the ring, the more violent your offense and defense will become. Let me give you an example. I mean, if you see a lazy jab, you don't have to think about throwing a right hand over the top of it. It should be automatic. As soon as you see the jab, boom, the right hand should be over the top already.
Well, the beautiful thing for Team Bell is that you have a 6', 73-inch reach, 130-pounder. That's a lot to work with, and he's got a great coach. He's got a family team, and I know they'll go back and keep improving. But great performance tonight, boxing beautifully, not taking a lot of punches, winning every round.
Speaking of Team Bell, Bernardo was listening in.
I spoke with his father, Alberto Sr., and I asked him, you know, he's coasting, and he's doing well. Is this what you want, or should we expect more? He said, look, we told you in the fighter meetings, we're going to start walking him down right about round 8. So he's going to keep boxing and look for him to put it on him and walk him down after the 7th, 8th round.
We would look forward to that. Coasting to that point for sure right now against the Filipino.
But Joe, the walk down or put more pressure on the opponent is actually something that Bell broached. That's the topic he broached to us in the fighter meeting yesterday. Right. That's something that he said that I want to continue to work on. It's something that I have to continue to work on. So it's just a matter of time before he's able to really bite down and start to execute that.
That was very early in the conversation, and you can always get a read as to where fighters are placing their point of emphasis on what they've been working on. And Bell said just sitting down on the shots, walking guys down, not just boxing them. He wants to put his combinations together and try to get some finishes on that resume. Right now, he's 16-0 with 5 knockouts. For the return in a true crossroads fight against Slick Mick LaPierre. Originally, that fight was scheduled 2 weeks ago. It was supposed to be Thursday, June 18th. But there was a positive COVID test to a team member of LaPierre. And now they come back at a catch weight of 144 pounds 2 weeks later. That is coming up in moments. Round 8. See if Bell steps it up. It's been a complete control against Bernaldez.
Continuo.
See, part of the maturation process for a fighter like Bell, who's used to being on the outside, he's used to boxing and just winning on points, and just, you know, hitting and not really getting hit it takes time to get comfortable bumping bodies with another fighter. You can do that in a gym with a t-shirt on, a headgear on, bigger gloves, but it's something different when you're shirtless, smaller gloves, and there's more danger at risk.
No doubt about it.
That's beautiful work right there by Bell. Wow. Beautiful combinations. He dropped 2 body shots and came up top. They changing level from Bell.
But he'll learn that after he lands a combination like that in an 8th round where he's dominated the whole fight, he doesn't have to scurry out of the way and escape. Just put those long arms out there, step to the side, and go back to work.
Gee, Sim, I see they're advertising the Nathan's hot dog eating contest for 4th of July at high noon there at Coney Island. That's right in your wheelhouse, based on watching some of your dinners this week.
That's, you know, I love those hot dogs now. Come on now, baby. But I like to put mine on the tortilla.
I'm sorry, come again?
I said I like to put mine on the tortilla.
Oh, goodness. What is that, Tim?
Keep flicking. There you go.
Oh, it's delicious.
You know, that sounds like
don't
something
knock it
Tim
until
Bradley
you
would
try
eat.
it now. Don't
That
knock it
sounds
until
like
you
something
try
Tim
it.
Bradley.
Vamos,
Oh,
así,
man, do what you got to do.
See, there's so many more traps that Bell can set up, but he's just comfortable just coasting. Yes, he's winning the fight. It's pretty easy. You know, he's boxing the breaks off of Bernaldez, but, you know, there's a little bit more. Sometimes you got to take some risks in there. Work on some things that you've been working on in the gym. Try some new things. When it's this easy, you know, test yourself.
And you see Bell thinking that was a great sequence right there. He touched with a right hand, turned a right hook to the body, came back to the head with the right hand. So he's a thinking man's fighter, and he's got a lot of skill.
Cashing in, baby. Cashing in, champ. Cashing in. Yep, cashing in.
Cashing in, champ. Cashing in. Just that steady work.
Cashing in, champ. There you go.
The ultimate judge's view as we are back at the MGM Grand Conference Center. Albert Bell with a 90-42 connect advantage as we start the 9th round. Mark?
You know, Dre mentioned his physical dimensions. Almost 6 foot tall, 70-inch reach. That's like a type from Toledo. Robert Easter, Sonny Fredrickson we saw the other night, now Albert Bell. Long, lean fighters with great reach, great jabs. He did say he wanted to walk him down tonight. He said, my hands are finally healthy. He knows KOs are money, KOs are eyeballs. He could be doing a little bit more. He's in complete control here. His hands are healthy, walk him down, try to knock him out. It'll pay dividends.
Well, again, this is a good moment to do it. If you're in the corner of Albert Bell, training and sparring is one thing, but this is where you challenge your fighter and say, look, stay close. I know you can feel him bumping you. I know it's a little awkward, but remember what we worked on. Go back to the drill. Stay tight, keep your defense up, get your shots off. He can't deal with you. You got to coach him through it, encourage him, and help him to see it before he actually sees it.
Stop.
I love the composure of Bell. I love the fact that he's switching up his attacks. I love the fact that he's throwing feints occasionally, switching the speeds up on his jab. You know, variating his combinations. You know, it's hard to find a fighter's rhythm when he's doing these things. And you can see Bernaldez hasn't even got close to him yet. Look at that
Punch combination and finish with the right hand sweeping across the body.
Oh, way to work, John. Way to work.
Just touching him with ease, isn't he, Timmy?
Step onto him a little bit. There you go.
I'm telling you right now, it is so frustrating.
Step to him a little bit.
Bernaldez is so frustrated right now. He can't even get close to him. He's trying to figure out a way to get close to Bell.
Now he's coming to him a little bit.
Just imagine if Bell.
Step him on back out. Step him back.
Yeah, that's stepping to him right there, Joe. I was about to say, imagine if you push a guy back like Bernaldez, who's not used to going back. He wants to come forward. Then he's really going to have some issues, and you see Bell doing that right now.
See, I like this final minute here of round 9 for Bell. That's a good disposition that that's the next step that he's capable of getting to.
Exactly.
Look at that, touching him with that right hand to the body, coming from that long reach, 73-inch reach for a junior lightweight.
There you go. You got to step him back.
He hurt his hand right there.
Hurt his right hand right
He
there.
hurt his hand right there.
We'll get Bernardo on top of that. Clearly hurt his right hand. Dre, as soon as we were giving credit to Albert Bell for being a little more offensive, stepping to his opponent and looking good, this happens to his right hand.
Landed a clean right hand on the face of Bernaldez, and there you see him pull up. He told us in the fighter meeting that he has brittle hands. He said, my hands are good. I'm excited about coming into a fight healthy, and there you see a setback right there to the hands of Albert Bell.
And he had landed, Timmy, a fight-high 18 connects in that 9th round. Bernardo, what can you tell us?
Albert Bell did confirm. He's like, yes, he did hurt his right hand. But then I said, is he okay? And he's like, look at the fight. He's going to keep throwing it. He's still good.
Trust me, Bell's not going to use that right hand. Trust me, he's not going to use that right hand. He's going to beat him down with one hand. That's what he's been hitting. Oh, he just threw the right hand right there. That's the first right hand I've seen this round.
See, as a fighter, especially when you have brittle hands, it's not enough just to ice and rest the hands. You have to rehab the hands. You have to work the hands. Well, how do you do that? You have to get a tennis ball and you have to squeeze it in your spare time. You have to get putty. You have to squeeze it in your spare time. You can get a bucket of rice, Bruce Lee style, and work your hands and your wrist and build up your forearms so your hands are not brittle. Your hands are not made to hit another person's skull. So you got to rehab them in between fights and strengthen the hands so they don't get hurt so easily.
And Dre, did you try all three of those at any point?
Yes, constantly. And I wasn't a fighter who had a lot of hand issues, but I would bang a thumb here, I would bang a knuckle there. It's the natural course of things as a fighter. And again, I had a great coach who said, son, build up your wrist, build up your forearms, and build up your hands. Something fighters don't talk about a lot.
He's going to jab his way in for an easy landing here. Final minute of the final round. He wraps it around into a left hook to the body and tripling it up.
Oh, Bell is gifted.
You got it. Gracioso. Step with it, step with it.
Look at how smart that was. He wanted to land a power hand, so what did Bell do? He went into southpaw position to try to land a straight left. It's brilliant work by Bell. Even though he has a hurt hand, he's still figuring out a way to dominate this round.
Hey, what it work? What it work? 10 seconds. 10 seconds, champ. 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
Dominating night for the undefeated.
No, it's okay.
Talked about domination from Albert Bell. We just see a lot of great things he did throughout the course of the night. Good offense, great defense, great legs, and you see his IQ at work. See, he touched right there with a right hand. He really wanted the swivel jab. Timed his opponent right there. Short right hand for a man with a 73-inch reach. He fought a great fight. But for great fighters and fighters with great talent, you have to challenge them. You have to call out the things you see with foresight of who he's going to face and what he's going to face in the future. And it's only to make the young fighter better. Good performance tonight by Albert Bell.
I love the fact that Albert Bell didn't get hit that often. That's what I love about this. I love the boxing performance he put on. You know, he used his height, he used his size very, very well. If one thing I want to critique on him is that get comfortable inside the pocket, young man, because you're not going to be able to move around for 12 rounds, especially when you're fighting someone just of your nature, someone that has it just like you have. So if you do that, now you become a complete fighter, and now you can kill him in any range that's inside that range.
And Bernardo is only able to land 14% of his total punches. Here's Mark Chinook.
Okay, now try. Pull it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, here inside MGM Grand, after 10 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. Tim Cheatham, Max DeLuca, and Ricardo Ocasio all score the bout 100-90. For your winner by unanimous decision, Prince Albert Bell.
Albert Bell is now 17-0. We'll see what happens. Found out morning up, day of the fight. Mick said, I cried that morning, but he understood it was out of his control. Let's look at the Geico tail of the tape and focus in on the power punch connect percentage, as both guys are slightly above the junior welterweight average. Of course, Pedraza, longtime junior lightweight, and then lightweight where he had titles, and here is Jose. Guy who's always smiling outside of moments like this, now masked up as he goes to the ring. He told you would not come out to any music for his ring walk with the loss of the family's grandmother, Louis Espada. His trainer's stepdad's mother passed away this week. So he did not want to come out to music for this fight. Great family man, very thoughtful guy. His wife Millie, 3 kids in Puerto Rico, and Lou Espada, his stepfather, as his trainer. We are ready for our junior welterweight main event. Here's Mark Chinook.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back inside the MGM Grand Conference Center in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. This is boxing presented by Bob Arum's Top Rank. This bout is scheduled for 10 rounds in the junior welterweight division. Judges at ringside, Tim Cheatham, Dave Moretti, and Patricia Morse-Jarman. The man in charge at the sound of the bell, Mr. Kenny Bayless. This is boxing, this is Top Rank, and this is the main event. Fighting out of the blue corner, presented in association with DeBella Entertainment. He weighed in at 143.5 pounds, wearing black trunks with white trim. He has a record of 22 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, 10 wins coming by way of knockout. He is a former world title challenger from Brooklyn, New York, Mikhail Slick Mick Lapierre. Fighting out of the red corner, he weighed in at 143.9 pounds, wearing brown trunks with white and red trim. He brings a record of 26 wins, 3 losses, 13 wins by way of knockout. He is the former lightweight world champion, former junior lightweight world champion from Sidra, Puerto Rico, Jose Sniper Pedraza.
Good, gentlemen. Trunks are good on both sides. Fellas, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want you to caution you to keep this fight clean at all times, protect yourself at all times, and what I say you must obey. Good luck, touch them up.
Fanless atmosphere, of course, in the COVID-19 protected bubble there at the MGM Grand Conference Center, but that doesn't mean your voice can't be heard. You can go to espn.hearmecheer.com to participate with your voice as a fan for this main event live from Vegas. Dre, Jose Pedraza said in terms of taking this fight, the 2-week turnaround, the catch weight now higher at 144. Yeah, it can be considered a risk, but he thinks he will adapt well to the weight. Feels Lapierre is strong, but he said, I'm faster, and you combine that with my skill and agility, and that will be the key to victory.
I agree, Joe. That should be the case. You're looking at a fighter in Jose Pedraza who's fought 67 world championship rounds. Lapierre's only fought 12. And Pedraza has a lot more experience than Lapierre, taking nothing away from Lapierre, but Pedraza, if he wants to keep his title shot alive and his name at the forefront of the sport, he's got to not only win tonight, but be impressive.
So Tim, Dre brings up the experience edge for Pedraza at the highest level. The 12 rounds that he references for Lapierre, that is when he fought Maurice Hooker, March of 2019 for the WBC junior welterweight belt. And he was rocked and cut in the 5th round. He was knocked down with a left hook in the 9th round. Wide margins for the unanimous decision win for Hooker that night.
Yeah, but he gained experience from that. Lapierre, you know, and he's taking that experience that he gained in that fight into him right now.
Uppercut left hand from Pedraza.
I love the punch choices, the punch selection coming from Pedraza. He's coming from different angles. He's confusing Lapierre in there. And Lapierre is a hard guy to hit. You know, he's a slick fighter. You know, he moves his head often, but there you see right there, Pierre pushes off and attacks and comes forward, trying to close the distance.
The work rate from Pedraza here in round number 1. Natural right-hander who, as you see, switches constantly.
Pedraza's doing the right thing. He's coming out, he's letting LePierre know that I'm the boss, I'm the guy with more experience, and you're a good fighter, but I'm a better fighter. And that's the kind of presence you want to have if you're Jose Pedraza in this first round.
See blood coming from the nose of LePierre.
Hi, Phil Swift here. This
room right now with that right hand shoved into the ice bucket as he injured it at the end of the 9th round in his decision win against Mark Bernaldez just moments ago. He's now 17-0. Meanwhile, in that first round, Tim, Jose Pedraza landed 11 power punches against Mick LePierre.
Yeah, the variation of the punches, the punch selection, what I'm talking about. And here you see Pedraza comes around with the right hook right there inside the pocket, but then you see him weave and get his head back off the line, which confused LePierre, and then he caught him with a couple of more combinations right there in that sequence. Great work, great offense, great creativity from Jose Pedraza.
Talked about the extra weight that Pedraza has to deal with in LePierre, and to me, Jose Pedraza looks like the bigger man right now. Physically.
He's coming for that. Come on, man. He's coming. He's coming. Ah!
See, a lot of people don't understand that movement of Pedraza and what he's doing. You know, he's making himself hard to be timed. You know, it's hard for LePierre to time on the shots. And then when LePierre sits right there in front, what do you see? Pedraza now working combination to the head.
Look at LePierre covering up, and Pedraza's just letting him fly.
Bayless has to keep a close eye. I know he's blocking some of those, but some of those shots are getting through.
Absolutely, some of them are. Puts up the earmuffs, and Pedraza says, that's fine. I'll press the accelerator, no problem with that. And there's an uppercut that lands.
Answer at all is a concern.
Pedraza lands a thudding uppercut.
Don't push, don't push. Pedraza's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. I said it in the beginning, taking nothing from LePierre, but you have to look at his record, you have to look at his experience, and you have to treat him as such. Good shot right there from Pedraza. You can't allow a person like LePierre, a fighter like LePierre, to gain confidence. If I hear that you're working a day job and going to the gym at night, I got to treat you like, you know, you're boxing in the evening and working during the day. I got to treat you just like this. And that's what Pedraza's doing right now.
LePierre now trying to make some way, push off and create some offense of his own here at the end of round number 2.
Yeah, Pedraza might have punched himself a little bit out this round. He threw a lot of combinations.
We'll update those CompuBox numbers when we come back. Active round 2 from Jose Pedraza. Good stuff.
This little cup may seem small, but it comes from
Fire assaults in round number 2 from Jose Pedraza.
Talked about Pedraza setting the tone. I think I counted somewhere between 30, 35 shots to the body, to the head. I'm concerned that LePierre felt like it was okay to sit on the ropes and take that kind of punishment. Not every shot landed, but plenty of them did. And Kenny Bayless was very, very close to stopping that fight.
You know, and Kenny Bayless made the comment just before the start of this 3rd round to Mick LePierre. He's like, listen, you got to show me something at moments like that. It's my job to protect you. But in that 2nd round, look at the punches for Pedraza. He was 46 of 83, 55%, 43 of 67 on power punches. That's just in the 2nd round. Let's check in with Bernardo and hear what they're saying in the corner of Slick Mick.
Right before Kenny Bayless told Mick LePierre to show him something. Joan Guzman said the same thing, and Lipierre told him, look, he hurt me to the body. And he says, look, you can beat this guy, but you got to show me something.
Joan Guzman is the trainer of Lapierre. Of course, Guzman, former junior featherweight and junior lightweight world champion.
You know, when Pedraza landed those combinations, and you didn't see anything coming back from Lapierre, you know, referee could have stepped in there and stopped that action a long time ago. He could have stepped in there. It was probably about 35 seconds of no return fire from Lapierre.
Here, Jose Pedraza, you want to test the tank of Lapierre again. You had a great round. I know he probably has to get his wind back under him and recover, but fighters speak loud. The body language speaks loud, and there's a reason Lapierre wasn't throwing punches back, and he's got to go see what that reason is and go test him once again.
Well, you can tell the stomach of Lapierre doesn't look like it's in tip-top shape. You know, I don't see any ridges in his stomach. If I'm Pedraza, that's where I'm going. I'm going down to the body. Forget about the head. I'm going to hit the body.
If you're Lapierre, you got hit with a good body shot in the previous round. You got to try to recover and get yourself back in this fight. It's still early.
Left hand that scores.
He got hurt with that shot.
Combination that comes in.
He got hurt with that.
He did. End of three. Pedraza in control.
This little cup may seem small, but it comes from a small business.
Another high percentage of power punches landed in that last round for Jose Pedraza. And Timmy, he got to Lapierre late with the left hand.
Yeah, Pedraza keep landing shots like that. Look at how he just made the jab miss of Lapierre and came right over the top with the straight left hand and buzzed him. You saw the stanky legs right there from Lapierre. You know, if he continues to land shots like this in this round, this fight is going to be over real soon. Trust me.
Talked about Pedraza at the top of the show, showing some slippage in his last couple of fights. He's not showing any slippage right now. He's showing vintage Jose Pedraza, the one that helped him win the 2 world titles in 2 different weight classes. His Achilles heel has been inconsistent. He's been inconsistent in the past. That's not the case tonight. The problem for Lapierre is he's not only been hurt to the body now, as we just saw in their replay, he's now getting hurt to the head.
You said, Dre, you know, that Pedraza has that willingness. You know, you got to understand, people, that you gotta go to a pretty much a dark place when you're in that ring. You know, you gotta feel like you're invincible. You gotta feel like you're the man. And if there's any time when you don't feel that way, you get into a fight, you're not gonna perform at your best. And I think that's Pedraza, and I believe that Pedraza at this moment believes that he's a great fighter, and he's fighting like it tonight.
I think his stepfather and trainer, Luis Espada, as well as Pedraza, they've been around the game in the amateurs a long time. They've been in the pro game a long time. They know that they don't have a lot of chances to stay in this place where they're right in line for a title shot. So they knew they had to come in here and perform tonight. And he's been off for a long time. Lots of cancellations, the coronavirus. He's making the most of this performance tonight.
But to me, right at this moment, it seems like Pedraza's letting Lapierre off the hook a little bit. You know, he's moving his head very well, but he's not making Lapierre pay with those shots. You make a fighter miss, you got to try to make him pay.
Hey! Oh my God! Come on, come on. Eso es. 10 seconds.
Ahí. Watch it, stop.
Evita el clinch, evita el clinch.
Take it easy, take it easy. Time.
Been a very solid night for Jose Pedraza, 31-year-old, former two-division world champion. Lost the lightweight unification fight to Vasily Lomachenko. Round 5 here against LePierre. A 90-31 connected advantage at this point for Pedraza. The dominating second round where he landed 43 power punches when LePierre covered up and absorbed punishment. Check in with Bernardo.
Luis Espada told me, look, he's got to use his boxing because LePierre is the bigger and stronger guy in there. I want him to continue to use his range, win round by round, and he's just got to watch out for one thing, LePierre's left.
He does have to watch out for LePierre's left. And you can see LePierre trying to set it up. You know, he went to the head with the left, but you also can turn it up the middle. And as Pedraza's moving forward, you see him drop down to the body right there. He's available. He just knocked him down.
That's a knockdown scored.
4, 5.
So LePierre scores the knockdown.
8. Okay.
Give me
Might have been a little bit off balance, squared up, and got caught in the process. But the uppercut is available for LePierre.
It was awkward there on that exchange, but the knockdown ruled. Looked like Pedraza was off balance.
If you're LePierre, obviously things haven't gone your way early in this fight, but this is the time. Good shot.
And they reverse order as Pedraza turns the tables and scores a knockdown of his own.
7, 8. Okay. Gloves.
So they trade knockdowns here in round 5. Now Pedraza stalking. LePierre tying up.
Pedraza's got to try to get another shot in there before this bell rings.
LePierre doing a good job
with the
of
right hand,
clearing his head at the moment. Nice tie-up right there by the vet, LePierre.
Tying up again, trying to get through these last 10 seconds here of round 5. Just missing with the right hand. Pedraza clearly got the best of him compared to the flash knockdown and maybe tangle up that we saw with LePierre's knockdown.
Give me the towel, my man. Give me the towel. Give me the water.
Okay.
Breathe, my man. Breathe. You take a punch if necessary. You control the round, you punch it. You do good start there.
LePierre finally had some success in this round, or did he? You see right there the right foot and the left foot of Jose Pedraza right here get tangled up, which is commonplace for a southpaw and an orthodox fighter. Kenny Bayless missed it, and it wasn't really a knockdown.
But then you see return fire from Pedraza right there. Nice right hand on the southpaw. We always say that the right hand is the southpaw killer, and here you go. You see it here in full effect by Pedraza, causing a knockdown.
So that was a great replay by our crew there, showing you the first ruled knockdown of LePierre. Clearly his right foot was caught behind the foot of Pedraza, and it had a trip to it. And then you see Pedraza come back with a big right hand. And now Kenny Bayless is being called down to, I assume, the replay official, because it'll be at his sole discretion. But our replay is now what they are looking at. And that is Robert Bird, who's the replay official, along with the commissioner. But watch the right foot against the left foot.
Not a knockdown.
To me, To me, it looked like a knockdown because LePierre landed a punch when he was bagging out. And I understand that the feet are in position, and they probably tripped over his foot, but the punch landed.
His foot got caught, so they're going to come back with the scorecard.
So Executive Director Bob Bennett putting forth Nevada State's replay rule before the start of the round.
Was not a knockdown.
You hear him saying it was not a knockdown with the feet being tangled. So that information now goes to the 3 judges.
Right, and Patricia knows. Okay.
Jeff Mullen is
Can somebody
the
help me
commissioner
understand?
bringing around the notes. Robert Byrd was the replay official there, Dre, but it's at the sole discretion of the referee, Kenny Bayless.
Yeah.
Please,
Okay,
Dre.
but why are they stopping the action? I haven't seen this yet, Joe. I've seen them check in between rounds, but not to stop the actual flow of the fight.
Knockdown was a trip.
No, you can do this. You can do this. I read the rules. You can do this at the beginning of the round. If you feel that it might have not been a knockdown, it's at the ref's discrepancy, he can actually step in and actually call for this review.
You're
I don't
absolutely
like
right.
this. This can change the whole flow of a fight.
I saw it on this replay. Wanted you to know.
So you hear Kenny Bayless, Dre, and Tim go to both corners. All 3 judges have been informed by the assistant commissioner. And then Kenny Bayless goes to each corner and says, listen, that was a trip. LePierre is not getting credit for the knockdown there. That was a trip. And to answer your question, Timmy, you said it. At any moment, it's at the sole discretion of the referee if they want to confirm or overturn any initial call. They want to get it right. They watched our replay. They watch our program monitor very closely. They said, hey, ESPN's showing you that it's a trip. We feel it's a trip. And then Robert Byrd is the replay official assigned, the veteran referee Robert Byrd. Bayless comes down to Byrd. They watch it together. They consult. They come to a conclusion. And that's what Kenny Bayless wanted to do. And he was able to overturn his original call of a knockdown, ruling it a trip. Bernardo.
In the absence of Executive Director Bob Bennett, it was Jeff Mullen, the Assistant Executive Director, who explained to me that under the Nevada State Athletic Commission regulations, they can stop the action in order to make sure that it was a trip, they did see the replay, and more importantly, to make sure that they change the scorecards accordingly before proceeding.
I like the replay. I just don't like the timing of it. I understand if it's a referee is checking the replay during the rest period and it bleeds over into another round, but to allow the rest period, the full minute, to run its course and then to stop the action, I just don't like that part.
Well, listen, Pedraza had LePierre hurt, Dre, right? And if you come to the end of that 5th round, advantage Pedraza with the big right hand and then the stalking attack right to the bell against LePierre, who tied up multiple times down the stretch of that 5th round. So it does give a break to LePierre. Even though it takes away the knockdown scored, he's able to regain his composure.
I've seen the ringside judge consult with the ringside referee who's in charge of the video consult with the referee that's in the ring in between rounds. I've just never seen the referee get out of the ring like that. And everybody named Byrd, Bayless, they're all veterans, great refs. I've just never seen that happen before.
It's part of the rules, Dre. It's part of the rules. They can do that. They have the authority to do that. And I don't mind it at all because you got to get it right because, it can change the tide of the fight, honestly. If you're on the receiving end of a knockdown and you felt in your heart that you didn't get knocked down, that it was a cheap shot or whatever it was, to change your mood.
When we founded Tommy John, Tom was obsessed.
Reminder that once we wrap up from Vegas, it'll be Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter bringing you the full day of news, including the NBA stars returning. We'll have a report from inside the bubble. Everybody's got a bubble nowadays, guys. Remember the first bubble? Everybody's got a bubble nowadays. Plus, Tony Clark on what's going on with the tension between Major League Baseball and Players Association and day 1 of the PGA Rocket Mortgage Classic. That is coming up with SVP on SportsCenter. once we finish up with our main event here on Top Rank Boxing. And of course, we will be back with you after. Hope everybody has a happy and safe 4th of July. We'll be back with you for Tuesday and Thursday of next week. Jose Zepeda will be in action. He got the best of Jose Pedraza last year. And then we will have the undefeated American heavyweight prospect Jared Anderson next Thursday. Bernardo, what are they saying in the corner of LePierre?
Johan Guzman, the former world champion, said he's got a second shot after this opportunity that the commission gave him to take a rest, but he's not listening to me. I told him, we worked on that left uppercut all camp. You've got to use your range, and he's not doing any of that.
That type of break mid-fight or at the start of a new round is can not only let a fighter off the hook if one fighter has momentum, but it also causes the fighters to cool down. And that's one of the worst things for fighters, to be warm, to have the engine revving, and then to abruptly stop the car and allow the body to idle and then have to get re-warmed up. And that's what you see right now from these fighters. They're trying to get themselves back in the ladder.
Okay, you follow me, throw punches. You desperate, my man. Take it easy.
It's like you dancing on the dance floor, and then all of a sudden somebody abruptly turns the music off for 5 minutes and then tells you, hey, start dancing just like you was before we turn the music off. It's difficult. You gotta warm up.
No, Dre, you better be catching your rhythm by yourself with no music, man, and stay loose and stay warmed up.
Come on, man.
Shoot, come on, man. I understand what you're saying, Dre. I understand, but, you know, one guy didn't get the rest. Both these guys got a rest. And I understand that one guy might have had an advantage, but like I said, I would rather have it right and be called not a knockdown than to be called a knockdown. I'm willing to deal with that.
Time! Buen trabajo, ese es el trabajo, Buen trabajo. Inteligentísimo. Y me encantó la rotación.
Man, free.
No foul.
Free. Give me the water.
5-3.
Amén. Ani, Teo, porque no van a
No quiero sobreconfianza, ¿ok? Ni intercambios de golpe con carajo.
Don't get overconfident. Come on. He's still dangerous.
Vamos.
Take a deep breath.
Vamos.
Let's go. 3 more rounds.
Tranquilo, no me arriesgues nada,
Just
papito. Vamos.
stay calm. Don't make any
Vamos.
mistakes.
I want you to look at the total punches as we start this 8th round. Pedraza has a 127 to 51 connect advantage. But when you look at the percentage landed, he's landing 43%. LePierre's only landing 16%.
You know, that's what I always say about that percentage, especially power punches. The closer you get to 50, that smells a knockout.
He's at 54% power punches. He's landed 98 of 181, Pedraza.
Río ya.
Vivo, gordo, no te pares, coge, no te pares. Tienes que moverte para evitar el golpe.
Río ya, man.
Para que el golpe no sea fuerte. Salte.
To your point, Tim, earlier, both fighters had a rest period, whether they wanted it or not. And Pedraza can't use that as an excuse to not keep his foot on the gas and keep pressing the way that he was. And LePierre, he needs to look at the rest period as an opportunity to try to land a big shot.
No lean this side.
Because he's not winning rounds right now.
No, not at all. And any time that Pedraza steps on the gas and actually let his hands go, he connects.
Double uppercut.
Pedraza just needs to be more, he needs to get more consistent with his work. You know, there's too many lows in his work.
Beautiful counter right.
But the problem is just only one punch. You hit him with one piece. Go ahead and hit him with the two. And then three, then four. Let those hands go.
Nick LaPierre has ability, fellas. He just was never able to get started tonight. Jose Pedraza jumped him from the first round, and he hasn't let up since.
Pedraza being very smart, just picking his shots wisely. You know, he's not rushing anything. He's taking his time, and he's allowing LaPierre to work, and then he's trying to counter.
Here's what's coming ahead on Top Rank Boxing. Top Rank Boxing continues from Vegas on Tuesday, July 7th with Jose Zepeda. The former world title challenger who nearly upset Jose Ramirez is targeting another shot. ESPN's number 6 ranked junior welterweight in the main event. Then 2 days later on July 9th, it's a heavyweight main event. Carlos Takam, who has fought for a world championship, is trying to secure a win against Jerry Slugger Forrest, and also appearing that night, Jared Big Baby Anderson. Many feel the young undefeated prospect could be America's next heavyweight star. So Jose Zepeda in action next week. He beats Pedraza. And guys, when Pedraza says, hey, I want to win a third division, a third weight class, 140 is loaded up top. Zepeda's number 6. And then you got Ramirez with 2 belts, Josh Taylor with 2 belts, Prograis, Hooker, Victor Postal, who's going to fight Ramirez for those 2 titles coming up on ESPN, most likely in August. This is a top-heavy division with 2 stars, including number 1 Jose Ramirez sitting on top.
It's not only top heavy, Joe, but it's heavy in that top 10. I don't see anything easy. I don't see any easy work in that top 10 in that 140-pound division.
No, Ivan Baranchik is number 7 as well. So, I mean, listen, it's a great division. It really is, and it'll be fascinating to see how things play out with Ramirez and with Josh Taylor if we can have an undisputed champion at 140 pounds. Of course, we had that with Terrence Bud Crawford before he migrated north to 147.
There's a lot of talent, a lot of hidden talent in the 140-pound division. You know, Zepeda's one of them. You got Mario Barrios as well. You got Arnold Barboza as well. You know, we don't talk about often, but he's also another top 140-pounder.
LaPierre hasn't shown the skill and ability to pull away from Pedraza, but he's definitely shown a lot of heart tonight.
Especially considering the punishment he took early on. Yeah, that second round he took a lot of punishment. Then he was hurt with a big left hand. In the third round, he was hurt with a big right hand. In the 5th round, when Pedraza came back after what was initially ruled a knockdown scored by LaPierre, and Nevada State Athletic Commission took the time to utilize replay and said it was a trip, so that was overturned.
Very easy as a fighter when you have a day job like LaPierre does and you're getting hit with shots like that and have been from the beginning. You got hurt to the body, you're bleeding out of the eye and the nose, to all of a sudden find something wrong, an elbow, a knee, my back. He didn't take that out tonight, and I respect him for that.
Pedraza has Lapierre right where he wants him, but then he backs up. You know, if he puts together a series of combinations, if he stay consistent with his attack, he probably could stop him.
Come on, be careful, my man. Careful with the referees. Come on, give me something.
Gira, gordo, gira para que no te encuentre de frente.
Pedraza's returning to the form that we saw from him early in the fight. He's pressing, not allowing Lapierre to think or rest. And you see all the damage that Pedraza's done on the face of Lapierre right now.
Remember, in the state of Nevada, it's at the sole discretion of the referee to review or consult with replay. They want to get things right. This is what happened in the 5th round when Mick Lapierre was given credit for a knockdown, but then Kenny Bayless, after that round, said, hold on a second, I want to go down to the replay official, Robert Byrd, take a look and see if I can overturn this, because he believed that there was a trip. This is exactly how it went down. So he went over, went through the ropes. They were just about to start the 6th round. Instead, he sits there with Robert Byrd. You see Joe Cortez also chiming in, as well as Jeff Mullen, the associate director of the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Kenny Bayless said, hey, I have the right to do this. These are the review procedures that we have with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and it was overturned. He said that was a trip. That was not a knockdown. Now, Dre, the problem you had with it is that it took 2 minutes and 10 seconds to do that. From the time that he said, time, hold on, guys, we're not fighting, until he came back and said it was a trip and we're re-engaged, was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And to you, that goes against the grain of a basic pillar and tenet of the sport, is that we fight for 3 minutes, you get a 60-second rest, we fight for 3 minutes, and you have to withstand that and endure that.
Right, I just don't like the timing of it. Kenny Bayless did a great job of you know, wanting to look at it again and overturning it, because he called it a knockdown, so he corrected himself. Right hand from Pedraza.
Knockdown scored here in the 10th.
7, 8. Okay, come to me.
But it was his momentum coming forward, and I believe it was a jab hand of Pedraza.
Remember the last time he covered up, he got the rapid-fire assault. Let's see if Pedraza can close the show as he winds up with a body shot with the right hand. And covering up and off balance, here comes Pedraza ready to close the show. Former 2-division world champion, seeing if he can get rid of Lapierre here in the 10th round.
Another big shot lands. Bayless is going to stop this.
There's a right hand that snaps back the neck. Bayless is giving this a good look. He does not like the way Lapierre looks. Can he show him anything at all? Jab snaps back the head. Pedraza right there at close range. Another right hand comes in. Lapierre can't tie up. Right hand to the body.
Pedraza looking for that right hand over the top.
Let's see if he can find it.
If he takes it downstairs, he'll be able to set it up, but you gotta disguise it. Take it downstairs first.
He heard you, Tim.
There it is. And then he bang right up the top of the head. Good shot.
Look at Lapierre fighting back, though, man. Nick Lapierre's got a lot of heart.
I'm telling you, man.
He does have heart. Guy who was helping on the front line of COVID-19 efforts back home in New York. Came out here to fight, got sent back home with a positive test to a manager, so the fight was delayed 2 weeks. Came back out, took time out for work. He's absorbed a lot of punishment tonight, but he's going to try to take it right to the wire and go the full distance with Pedraza. After being knocked down in the 5th, knocked down here in the 10th.
Stop.
No, 10 seconds. No, jump into him. No, jump into him.
Well, Lapierre was tough enough to go the distance, but Pedraza was far too much for him tonight. take you back and show you how he arrived at this point. And early on, he was placing the power punches throughout. In the second round, in fact, he landed 43 power punches, a huge offensive assault. And round number 5, this was the moment that went to review as Mick LaPierre scored what was initially ruled a knockdown. They said no, it was a trip. But Pedraza answered in that round with a big right hand himself.
Time. Neutral.
So Kenny Bayless went to the replay official, Robert Byrd, and they would take a look. And then he would go inform the judges as well as the two corners that indeed it was a trip. There was no denying what this was as Pedraza tagged LaPierre, put him on his back end. LaPierre was tying up numerous times down the stretch of the 5th round just to get through it. And then what we just saw in the 10th round, Pedraza scoring with that left hand, putting LaPierre down again. In the end, he landed 129 power punches. 54% of his power punches landed. The final total looked like this, 168 out of 406.
Pedraza, I believe, put on a great show tonight. You know, he displayed great boxing skills and ability. When he's motivated, he's a problem. Trust me, he is a problem. He's a problem for anybody in the 140-pound weight class.
Very consistent performance, workmanlike, showed glimpses of his old self tonight. The guy who won 2 belts in 2 different weight classes. He's moving on, hopefully, to bigger and better things. And Mick LaPierre, much respect to him. I have respect for him based on him being on the front lines of the COVID-19 fight in New York and trying to fight and, you know, just continue his boxing career. But I have even more respect for him tonight. He took some punishment. He never quit. He battled back. He came up short, but much respect to Mick LaPierre.
Let's go to Mark Chinook with the
were supposed to be
judges' scores.
Ladies and gentlemen, here inside the MGM Grand, after 10 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for the official decision. Tim Cheatham has the bout 100 to 88. Dave Moretti and Patricia Morse-Jarman have it 99-89. For your winner by unanimous decision, Jose Sniper Pedraza!
Dominated from start to finish. Louis Espada having lost his mom this week. You saw him point up to the sky just moments ago. Mark Kriegel, your final thoughts on Jose Pedraza's effort tonight?
Southpaws were supposed to be a problem for Jose Pedraza.